Joining us now from the New York Times is tech columnist Kevin Roose. He's been digging into the data on the election and on Facebook's role. His latest article, "What if Facebook is the real silent majority?" is a must-read. Kevin, thanks for joining us. What do you think about Mark Zuckerberg's comments there? It seems that even if their algorithms don't do that, all the stuff that is enraging people is getting shared millions, if not billions, of times.
Yeah, well, I think there's a useful difference between intent and outcome here. I don't for a minute think that Mark Zuckerberg and the people at Facebook set out to, program an algorithm that would make people as angry as possible and capitalize on that anger in the form of engagement. But it turns out that when you make an algorithm that optimizes for things that people find meaningful, a lot of that is anger-based. A lot of that is outrage. So, for example, one of the most popular stories on Facebook in recent memory, in the last couple of weeks, was the story of Nancy Pelosi getting her haircut at a salon in San Francisco. That got millions and millions, hundreds of millions of interactions on Facebook, and that's meaningful to people. So I don't really get what Mark Zuckerberg is saying about there being a difference between what people find angry and what makes people angry and what people find meaningful.
So you've gone pretty deep as far as looking at what people are reading, what they're engaging with, and how it relates to the election. Just give us some of your top line takeaways, which I think might surprise a lot of people if they're just, watching cable news and the polls.
Yeah, I was shocked, too, when I started really digging into some of this data. There is a right-wing parallel universe on Facebook that has a huge footprint. It's very large, and it's very, very engaged. So, for example, Ben Shapiro, the conservative commentator, his posts have been shared about 168 million times in the last 30 days. That's more than 6 times as many as Joe Biden's posts. Breitbart, the far-right news organization, has gotten more than 40 million interactions on its Facebook page in the last 30 days, which is more than ABC News, NBC News, the New York Times, and the Washington Post combined.
Kevin, do you think that this shows that, in fact, the mainstream media don't capture the middle ground, or that the Republican fan base, as it were, just have a better engagement on social media?
It's hard to say why. There certainly is an argument that, the right has harnessed a lot of this anger and a lot of these grievances in a way that makes it very attractive on a platform like Facebook. I also think there's a lot of sort of pages that are out there pushing dubious or exaggerated claims, and that stuff travels very well on Facebook.
Yeah, I was just going to ask how much of the content that is being read by large numbers of people that you cite is real, is not misinformation or fake news or conspiracy theories. How much of it is just opinion-based?
A lot of it is opinion. A lot of it's commentary. A lot of it's, pro-Trump commentary. Some of it does cross the line over into misinformation, in my opinion. And Facebook itself has dinged several of these popular conservative pages for sharing information that is not true. But those pages remain up. They remain very popular. And Facebook has not, to this point, taken any action to sort of dissuade them from doing that.
So to your point overall about the level of engagement you've seen on these particular Trump-supporting pages, do you feel like the polls may well be underestimating his chances in the same way that perhaps they did in 2016?
It's hard to say. There's not a lot of research on the link between sort of Facebook engagement and voting habits. What I will say is I think that people who just consume mainstream media sources, who aren't very active on Facebook, maybe who use Twitter more than they use Facebook, are missing this enormous groundswell of support for right-wing policies and politicians. And I think people, including reporters in the news, have to do more to sort of figure out what's happening on Facebook and really pay attention, because this is not bots. This is not Russia. This is real people who are really engaging with this content.
Kevin, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.